Sorry, I got cut off there. But, yeah, let's just continue.
Grow their own platforms. She pays them fairly. Again, she does everything that I guess you're supposed to do or you ask white people to do, right? But she's still getting backlash. Also, on top of that, this guy accuses me of, I don't know, having my opinions for money, right? When this guy quite literally has made like 10 videos in the last 48 hours on this same topic, okay?
It's because he's obsessed with her race and because he's a racist person that he's obsessed with talking about her because he doesn't like white people, and this is his opportunity to trash white people and talk very poorly and racist about white people. So he's taking this opportunity to basically express his anger and hate and frustration and disdain for white people, basically. That's what this problem is. This is why he's trying to push the narrative that she's racist, is because he basically just wants to defame her by trying to claim she's racist. Anyway,
continue. It just so happens that the videos that he makes bashing just pearly things gets the most views. So, hey, I got questions. Why are you going so far as to bash this white woman? Is it for money? Right? Is that what you're doing it for? That's what it kind of looks like to me. Seems like.
Yeah, of course it's for money, but I think also it's because he loves to do things like this anyway, because it is centered on race and gender, and you can tell he has some kind of anger issue with white women. I think having to do with Poland, I think, in some nature. Maybe interest in women in that area, and maybe them not specifically being partial to him, which may have hurt his feelings. But anyway, that's a different story.
A lot of your views over the past few days has come from, attacking this woman, right? I'm just saying. And you keep doing it because guess what? You're making money, right? You're getting viewership from it. Ain't that's how it's supposed to work? Again, the reason why I don't think that Just Pearly Things owes any apology for that segment specifically is because it's clear to me that she was just listening. She was taking in the conversation, and the argument was between those two, and there was really no need for her to chime in or to say anything because the man has a right to express his opinion. They were talking about a specific topic, a specific thing. Her Italian friend was holding her own. She didn't need any help. She defended herself, and that's it. It is what it is, right? I really do think that probably these guys on the internet are probably more upset than the black people that actually work for her, right? I'm pretty sure that's the case because if they were so upset, these woke revolutionaries, they would all quit by now, right? I don't think they're that upset about it, okay? Let's move on to the next clip that is probably more controversial than the last clip, in which Just Pearly Things essentially says that slavery or some parts of slavery was embellished. Take a look.
Argument was the Holocaust was not special and all countries have done that.
Yeah,
and exactly. So you're saying, why is the Holocaust special?
Yeah, basically.
Oh. Okay, what do you mean basically?
Well, yeah, I mean, because of course, we're getting into the details of it, but yeah, that's the gist.
Yeah, I mean, but you kind of deny it happened.
Yeah, I denied some of the parts of it.
You deny parts of it don't seem realistic to you. You think they're embellished upon.
I think they're embellished, yeah.
The same way. This sounds, oh gosh.
Oh boy.
They're gonna be in trouble. This sounds similar to the slavery stuff too, because that's literally the founder or the guy who made Roots said, I wanted a myth for my people to live by. So they often, but that's what they do is they embellish. And I'm not trying to say it wasn't horrible. It was.
Right.
But they want to make it like more horrible so that they can control people. Yeah. So what we have here is why live conversations are difficult, right? And why I think that, pre-recorded content to a certain extent, especially when we're talking about very controversial topics, is probably superior, right, than doing live conversations, okay? Because she clearly got caught up in thinking about what Nick Fuentes said about the Holocaust, okay, which I disagree with what Nick Fuentes says about the Holocaust, but
to me, I don't really care too much. It's like some people question some details about the Holocaust or whatever. I just frankly don't care because I'm like, why should I care? I'm not German. I'm not a Nazi. I'm not Jewish. None of this has to do with me, so why would I get a hoot? I don't. That's why. But anyway,
She got caught up in thinking about the conversation because she's probably heard stuff from him that she never thought about before. And when you start to think about certain things like that you never heard before, because apparently you're not allowed to have an opinion, you're not allowed to hear these opinions, sometimes it will make you compare it to other things and how people talk about other things, right? That's a part of a natural conversation in which she brings up slavery, which in my opinion, I'm going to say this. I think when it comes to events like the Holocaust and slavery, people definitely use those events to guilt trip people today into doing things or feeling bad about things or feeling bad for certain people who didn't necessarily even go through those things as a way of trying to control people and accumulate power. That 100% happens. Okay?
I will agree with that. Yeah, I do agree with that. I don't think that it was, though, embellished, because a major thing is, if you understand the history of the situation, there's a major thing that was thought of back in the old day when the slaves were freed, was that, but when they were about to free them, they were thinking that, will they peaceably be able to actually live with white Americans with the trauma that happened during slavery? Would they be able to peacefully get past it? And a major way of getting past it was creating the narrative, because otherwise they were actually considering sending black Americans back after slavery. But to basically control the narrative, I think black Americans were forced to have slavery actually minimized, I think, according to the environment that they were in at the time. So I don't think we actually know the full horror story that slavery was. But I do think that people do use slavery now to basically take advantage of people. So I will agree with that.
Okay. But what Jess Pearly Things was saying is that, well, there is some parts of slavery, that may be embellished. And she talked about Roots, which was by Alex Haley, okay, which at the time when it came out, it was pitched as a historical biography of a black American family, okay, but come to find out, it was a myth, right? The book was...
Yeah, exactly. That was definitely embellished. Well, made up. But then again, if someone could say, well, that story did happen probably to many people, but it was a made up story.
It wasn't actually really based on a true story, but basically is a narrative of the experiences that I guess a black family would have had during that time period, okay? But the story in and of itself wasn't necessarily based on a true story. It's not necessarily a true story, right? And she basically said, well, yeah, I mean, it seems like they do embellish some parts of things. And she also threw in there as well, too, that, clearly it was horrible. The things that happened to people was horrible. It was terrible. But they do embellish some things for power and control.
And understand that in this situation, both of these people admitted and said that, yes, it's definitely wrong, that slavery was definitely wrong. If Nick Fuentes was racist, or if Just Pearly Things was racist, why would they say that slavery was wrong? You do understand, if you think someone is subhuman, you would think that subhuman treatment would be appropriate for them. Ergo, slavery would be a good thing, not a bad thing. Anyway, continue. Oops.
Control. And she's right. They do. Because if you listen to what she was actually talking about, which was Roots, that story, by definition, was embellished. Okay? It was made up, right? It was made up. Okay?
Exactly.
He probably made it up, again, for what? Power and control, right? For fame or whatever, right? But there are some parts of slavery, let's be real, that are embellished. And I'm not talking about what black people actually went through, okay? Because you got to be clear with these people, okay? Because they're going to accuse you of saying things that you're not really saying. What black people actually went through, okay, as slaves was horrible. It was terrible. One of the worst things that can happen to somebody, right? Okay, but as Nick Fuentes says, it's not necessarily unique, right, in regards to what happened to black people, because this stuff has been happening to all different types of people across the globe since the beginning of time, right? Humans have been effed up with each other, which essentially was the point that I think he was making, okay? But again, if you listen to the woke revolutionaries who embellish, right, parts of slavery, like, for example, again, they want to pretend like American chattel slavery was unique in that nothing like this has ever happened before, when slavery not only was happening in America, it was happening in Africa, it was happening in the Middle East, it was happening in Eastern Europe, all at the same time. It wasn't unique. Slavery was a common thing during that time, but that's not what they want you to think. That's not the story that they tell. That is an example of how they embellish the story of slavery. Another example of how they embellish the story of slavery is when they try to pretend like the white man just showed up to Africa, right? And they just rounded up and snatched up all the slaves, and then they just went to the Americas, and that was it. Without mentioning the fact that Africans enslaved other Africans and then traded them to the white man, and that's how the white man gathered so many slaves in the first place, right? The white man, the all-powerful God white man, right, did not have the capabilities of being able to round up that many slaves forcefully, because quite simply they couldn't go that deep into Africa, right? They needed help, right, from the Africans that was there. But see, they don't tell that part of the story. Why don't they tell that part of the story? It's because it doesn't fit the narrative of, well, the evil white man, all powerful.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They always try and act like it was white people that were at fault for slavery. This whole situation, people have been trying to push that whole narrative. And much of this whole situation, people have had the same message of anti whiteness. But anti whiteness seems more so racist and more so like jealousy than actually having anything to do with maltreatment of people of color, in my opinion. And it's just interesting that, nobody ever talk when people talk about reparations and stuff, they're always trying to talk about white people, despite the fact that white people are the descendants of slaves, and black people, black Africans, are the descendants of people who sold slaves to America. And many Africans are very proud that that's the case. They try to attack Black Americans for that, and try to be condescending to Black Americans for that. Which is why when people try and say poor Africans who suffer economically, it's like kind of interesting, because it's like, well, aren't you suffering for the fruits of what your ancestors did for being such demonic individuals? Why should I have sympathy for you when you didn't have sympathy for my ancestors? But that's a different story. Anyway, continue.
White man is the sole cause of slavery, right, in the America. Hence why you got people getting upset about just pearly things, quite literally reacting to the revelation that, Africans sold other Africans into slavery, right? She's just simply, quite literally, just stating facts, okay? She's stating facts. And again, facts are triggering to these people, right? They never heard it before, because, again, that's not the story that they tell. They've embellished slavery so much, right, that, again, they've never heard that before. So when they heard that come out of a white person's mouth, they think, oh my God, they're being racist. When it's like, no, they're just stating facts, right? That is a fact. The African man sold other Africans into slavery to the white man, right? That's why the white man was so successful, because of the African man. So again, in the midst of a conversation like that,
and in these situations, the white man was so successful in these situations because the African man didn't care about their African people in so many different ways, and then wanted to act like white people are at fault for black African people not caring about their people. That's at black African people's fault for not caring about their people, not caring about their country, not caring about their future, and so forth.
Understand what she was trying to say and where she was coming from. I'm not the type of person that lives with this victimhood mentality where I am looking to be offended. But you got people out there that are straight up just looking to be offended, because they already didn't like the fact that she became very successful in a very short time, running a podcast that talked about relationship issues. They claim it's black issues, but it's not black issues. It's actually relationship issues. She's not just talking about black issues. She's talking about relationship issues.
Yeah, they just say that because they see black people, it must be black issues. It's really weird. Because it's like, I don't get, like, do you talk about black issues? I don't see you just talking about black issues all the time. I don't see a lot of different black content creators just talking about black issues. What are black issues anyway? Other than like hair color and skin tone, what are black issues? A lot of people experience the same issues that black people claim are black issues. So it's like really weird. Like they'll say relationships are supposedly black issues, but you understand that many people date and many people are trying to find the one outside of black people. So it's kind of weird that they just say it's black issues when you talk about relationships. Anyway, continue.
And she had mainly a lot of black people on the platform, right? She dates black people, she hangs around black people. They don't like the fact that she's made success, okay, being surrounded by black people in a space that they consider to be black, which is not, okay? The relationship space is for everybody. Everybody has relationships. They don't like the fact that she's successful as a white woman surrounded by black folks. So therefore, they're trying to take any small little thing that they can as a way to try to destroy her and her hard work that she put into her successful podcast. And that's what's happening here, right? She didn't say anything wrong, okay? She didn't say anything racist. Clearly, she's not racist, okay? Clearly, she likes hanging around people that don't look like her or, that come from different, backgrounds as her. Clearly, again, not a racist person. And she's open-minded, right? She's so open-minded that not only would she hang out with Africans and black folks, she also will hang out with alleged white supremacists. That is by definition what being open-minded is, right? That is actually the definition of diversity, right? The people that claim they love diversity and inclusion, diversity and inclusion actually includes opinions and people from all different races and backgrounds, even if you disagree with them. Diversity does not mean a bunch of people who think the same, right? Again, see, this is again, what these people are inadvertently really doing here is that they're quite literally telling white folks, stay away from blacks, right? Or if you do decide to, be with black people, you got to make sure you act a certain way. You got to make sure you can.
The main thing about black Americans that are pro-black is they are very pro-segregation. Because the Democratic Party controls them, and the Democratic Party was originally the Ku Klux Klan, so of course they support segregation, and this is why pro-black people support segregation, is because they are controlled by racist white people. Many of the things that they say is in the mindset of a racist white person. Many of the ways they see themselves, it's through the eyes of a white racist person, through the eyes of someone who is inferior, not superior. This is why most of the time when I see Just Pearly Things videos that are basically hating on her, it's specifically in the vein of seeing her as superior, because they have an internal problem of seeing themselves as inferior. They have this problem because, like I said, they have been brainwashed by racist people from the left, mainly. So, yeah, that's what I'm just pointing out there. Continue.
Carry yourself a certain way, or else, again, you're going to get checked, right? Make sure that you don't talk to people that we don't approve of, right? That you don't get out of line. And again, it's just ridiculous, man. It really is. I don't understand these people. Actually, I do understand. I know why they're upset. They're upset because of jealousy. They're upset because she put in more work and she's accomplished more success in a space that a lot of these people have been in for what, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years and don't have nearly as much traction, viewership, subscribers, whatever, right? They don't have nearly as much of that. So again, they're trying to find a reason to bring her down because, well, they don't like the fact that she's in the space in the first place because she's a white woman. That's what it is. But at the end of the day, you really should just be trying to outcompete her, right? Just outwork her, okay? Just outwork her, okay? If you outwork her, you outcompete her, you create a better product than her, then, I don't know, maybe you can take some viewership away from her. Maybe her black audience will stop watching her and start watching you. But again, a lot of these guys don't want to put in that type of work. They rather just sit on the internet and then just hate on people who are more successful than them in the same space they're in, right? But they don't want to necessarily, again, put in the work or, put it this way, have the same type of production that she has. So, again, man, like I said, I don't think what she said was that bad. I understand where she was coming from. I think that, she just got caught up in having a live conversation, and doing live conversations, sometimes you're not going to think everything through thoroughly about what's going on in the moment. It's a live conversation. I don't think she should apologize because, again, it's not like the mob ever really accepts apologies. At the end of the day, I just think that a lot of people, man, this is what happens when you accumulate success. People are going to come after you. They're going to try to, bring you down because, quite honestly, they wish they were as successful as you were. So,
and that's why I feel like it's racially motivated, honestly, and that it is because she's a white woman. That often these people hate her and things of that nature, because every hate video I've seen, like I said, was based off of her being white. All they ever talk about is her being white. It's like so weird because it's like they'll be claiming she's racist, but showing how racist they are of her, and it's also interesting because it's like, why are you completely resigned to the fact that you'll never do as well as her? Why are you giving up? Is it because you think you're inferior because you're black and you think that she's always going to do better because she's white? I don't know. I think that's a personal issue with you and your perception of yourself, in those situations. So that's basically all I have to say on this. I definitely agree with what he had to say on pearly things. Great video. So thanks for watching, everybody. Like and subscribe, comment down below, and have a great day. Bye, guys.